Good afternoon. My name is Maung Kyaw. I am the president of Burmese Rohingya Association in Thailand, known as BRAT. I am also a member of international advocacy group of Rohingyas, as well as I am a former political prisoner of conscience in 1974 from Myanmar. So I am a Rohingya, maybe some of here aware about that. I am a man, I am a person, came from a place where most of the largest prisoners in the world, this is the Arkan. More than 1 million Rohingyas are displaced in Arkan, Myanmar. So some newspaper like Human Rights, and also the Human Rights Organization, Human Rights Watch, 45 Rights, and many others, they said that this is the largest prisoners in the world. It means we are not allowed, our people are not allowed to go to one place to another place. We are not allowed to buy the food from the market. This is the Sitwe, Arkan area. We are not allowed, completely not to go and get the, medical facilities. Maybe you know that. This is the Holland-based, I think, medicine without border. And every NGO and every groups are now already driven out by the Burmese government from my area. So we are silently avoided and killed in our area without any medical facilities. So I'm not giving this question, speeches here. I don't understand. I'm very appreciative of this, your meeting for some days, from 4 to 8, I think. I'm very disappointed that none of the representatives of my community, the Rohingyas, who are known as in the world one of the most persecuted people in the world, not we are saying. This is the United Nations and also some other organization, Voice of America, Al Jazeera, and the BBC. They are saying that one of the most persecuted people in the world about the detention, about the criminal laws, about the health care in the prison, blah blah. I have gone through it. Nothing is in our area. Forget about the health care. Forget about the women's rights. Forget about the in the prison, the facilities. Only our people can get sometimes one-time medicine 1 year when UN, the reporters or the UN human rights, expert like Mr. Quintana visited the Myanmar. When they visited, they got some sort of medicine.
Why don't you allow one of our panelists to address your question?
My question is, do you have any program to talk about the prisoners who are unrecorded as political prisoners in Myanmar, including one medicine doctor, Dr. Tuong? Maybe the Amnesty International highlighted about this. I have seen many, the last exhibition in the Thammasat University. Do you have any program to do something for the undeclared political prisoner in my area, including Dr. Tuong, a medicine doctor who has been in the prison since 2012 when genocide has been started in my area, still going on? Do you have any program? Another one lawyer, Dr. Chola Ong, who has been in the prison and very old man without any medical facilities, to help or to include your program to highlight around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We understand your question. Yes, please address the gentleman's question about the difficulty of reaching certain prison populations.
The submissions you have just made are very strong. They are a sad picture of the unjust situation we find in the world, in your country, in many other countries. What has been a philosophy, an agenda, not just for Kyaw, I think, but even for ourselves who work in Africa, is think globally, act locally. It is not possible for one organization to solve all the problems of the world everywhere. So what I would advise you is to have some local actors in your own country who will get support for the work they are doing on the spot. It will be very difficult and practically impossible for people like our own organization, Kyaw or mine in Nigeria, which is facing its own local problems, to solve the problems of not just Myanmar, but Afghanistan, the Taliban, Pakistan, and everywhere at the same time, with just because of resources and so on. So think globally, act locally. Can you start an organization? Do you know of organizations in your country that are active despite the very dangerous situation? And because I am aware from the press of the situation, even that Medicine Without Boundaries was stopped by the government and has just been allowed again, this is press. The facts we do not know. Who are your link persons who will be collaborators in improving the agenda of human rights and of prisoner rights in your country? We must also look at prisoner rights as human rights. But not every human right is a prisoner right. Just the fact that prisoners are a specific group of situation in society, a cadre that has been like locked out, and their own rights must be applied to them. But there are so many other rights, like social rights of people who are out, minority rights, cultural rights, gender rights, economic rights, human rights generally. So these are also other levels. And a deeper study, I would really want to talk with you after this meeting, because I would like to give you some ideas of how you can start something and also engage you with the facts on ground to move forward. What Kyaw is doing is what we are doing, as you can see now. And it is in the public domain. It is on the internet. And people have come from various countries having known about this to be here. I'm sure that's how you knew and came here. But how do you now apply what you have learned here and see that you can translate it to your country? That will be beyond a press conference. That will be a more detailed private discussion. I sympathize with what's happening in your country as elsewhere. It is horrible in the world. But don't forget, the United Nations has made a declaration. All human beings, wherever they are born free and equal, and they have basic rights that conform to their dignity. Those holding them back in different countries is not the United Nations. They are locals from Myanmar who are holding back their own people. And that is why we want to support and build a network, a universal network for change, for the better, for all human beings.
Thank you.
I want to thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Your valuable, your answer. Of course, I would like to go and sit down with you, and if anybody interested, I'm not talking longer, just maybe one minute. But Thailand also the same. Our women are raped in the prison also, So I understand. I'm a prisoner. I was in prison. Still, I say I'm a prisoner. My whole people are the prisoner in my country. You are saying the country, and they're doing something in the country, ourselves and the outside. We are not allowed. Even last evening I'm here. They are going to, held ASEAN the civil society conference in Myanmar in March. At the end of the March, I say our people are not allowed to go one place to another place. This is the movement. So we are like a chick in the in the cage. We are like we are not allowed to do anything. If we talk to the even foreigner in my country, the second day we got arrested, or we have to live by the boat, and like boat people, maybe nearly, you heard that in Australia, Thailand, and Malaysia, Indonesia, more than 100,000 people are, boat people prisoner or detention center. So this is the thing. Completely we are the forgotten and the unwanted people. Not only my country, out of the country also we are the bona fide citizen of Myanmar. The problem is we need your help means only the state of mind and your working style, and we have to work together, because we only would like to depend on the civil society. We were very tired of the United Nations. I myself went to the United Nations, second largest building in the world in Bangkok, maybe 20 times with my people. I slept in front of the United Nations building 5 days, only asking for the protection, to protect my people, because nearly 50,000 people were killed or missed. Nearly 20,000 people were drowned in the sea. So, okay, I am not giving the speech because the very, very valuable times. We need your help means only to highlight our case. Our voice are unheard. Please, they carry this message to the world, civil society. We would like to depend on the civil society. Thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you very much for giving me time. Thank you.
Monsignor Ike, I wanted to build on your statement about thinking globally and working locally. In the United States, where our organization originated, we have the largest criminal justice system in the world. We have the most prisoners in the world and the highest rate of incarceration in the world. The prison business is a giant business, a very powerful business in our country. America has 5% of the world's population, but most people around the world don't realize that we have 25% of the world's prisoners, a higher rate of incarceration than China or North Korea or Russia or any of the more severe countries that we've been discussing during our conference. And in the United States, the popular perception of prisoners, relating to what you were discussing earlier by locking people behind bars and not wanting to think about them any longer. Our popular perception of prisoners is based on the media, largely what Hollywood tells us and what we see on TV. And while that is the only interaction that the average citizen has with the prison system, their perception of the people, the humanity in our prisons, is deeply distorted. So I'm curious whether the other conference participants from other cultures around the world have found a similar phenomenon where the harm, the dehumanizing of prisoners is either based on perceptions from the media, false perceptions, or perhaps that the entire prison approach is driven by this hysterical, fear-mongered, distorted view of who these people are, and I say people very meaningfully because they are indeed people. Anyone want to respond?
I could respond, but let me see whether others will.
Yes, yes, yes.
Your question is in relation to the public perception of prisoners within our respective jurisdictions.
And how that drives the dehumanizing of prisoners.
So from the Hong Kong perspective, and again, I speak only for female prisoners because I don't look at the male prison population in my research, but and anyone who's been at the conference has already heard this statistic, but 19% of the total prison population in Hong Kong is female, and among them 75% are non-local. So the challenges that women prisoners face in Hong Kong, in addition to be labeled as prisoners, are that they are female and they are not local residents. So there's a very high threshold. There's very little public interest, I must say. The Hong Kong government has domestic legislation which encapsulates the idea of rehabilitation. So our Bill of Rights reinforces the idea of treating incarcerated individuals with dignity and humanity, and that the ultimate aim shall be rehabilitation. And that's very much exhibited in the prisons when you visit them in Hong Kong. They're very regimented. The prisoners are not, it's not a penal populist kind of attitude that's expressed towards prisoners. And the corrections department will very plainly tell you that the happiest moment they have is when the prisoner is released, because they're very confident that they've given them the tools to live in society again as a rehabilitated individual. That's the situation in Hong Kong.
Does anyone else respond about their particular countries? Maybe Dr. Ting first.
Regarding the questions by Myanmar friend, I myself very sympathized for the human rights situation in your country, and if possible, I myself want to do something to support you. But the media, the human rights organizations, the United Nations, the United States, and the Western countries, they have done very limited on the human rights violations all over the world. What they have done for the 3,000 Falun Gong prisoners being tortured to death, what they have done to the 132 Tibetan people setting themselves on fire, and what they have done for North Korean people. I agree you did think globally and act locally. We should do step by step, and but we should also act internationally. We should connect and tell the whole world, take human rights seriously, take freedom seriously.
I'm sorry, I want to follow up a little bit on the points raised by our last the last question, and because to me it opens up the dialogue of the gaps and limitations of the Bangkok rules. And two really significant gaps come to mind when I hear your story about political detention. So the first is that the Bangkok rules they're limited in their application. And they're limited in the sense that they do provide that they apply to persons convicted by a judge. So that implies necessarily that they're related to the criminal justice system. And to me, it's a fundamental gap, because people who are detained administratively under immigration law or even as political prisoners then fall outside the provisions and the protections provided in the rules. And the second is that, of course, the rules themselves they are non-binding, and that there's no reporting mechanism. So very much a toothless tiger for the time being.
Yes, the perspective from Thailand.
I would like to share perspective from Thailand regarding the Thai media reporting on crimes, prisoner and juvenile offender. I do agree with you that the media has also contributed to dehumanizing not only the suspect or of crime or the prisoner themselves, but also the victim of the crime themselves. In many cases, in many cases, the graphic and violent picture or video will be shown, and the identity of the suspect will be revealed, even though they are only the suspect. But the media reveal their identity, their address, or their names and surname already. So it means that they will be in most cases they will already be judged by the society that this person is a criminal, even without the court conviction. So I think this is one of the areas that the Thai media really has to improve in the way they report. Additionally, the way that the media report about child victim or child offender, although it's prohibited by Thai law that they cannot review or photograph or video them, but in many cases I can still see that there will be video, they will be photographed and then blur their face, but still I don't think it's an appropriate way to report about them, or even their name were not mentioned, but their parent names were mentioned. How would you not know like who that person is? So I think this is another problem that it should be addressed. Yeah.
Do you want to address it, Aya?
In Japan, concerning the media problems, I think it is very specific for arrestees and who are arrested. I think not prisoners, because when someone is arrested, the media, we can see the very sensational contents in the TV program and or yellow journalists in Japan. But after court decision is finalized, the public forget the case and the arrestees. And so, but about prisoners, I think if the government suggested some good rehabilitation treatment to prisoners, most people think it's a prestige. This is a prestige for prisoners, and so I think many people think it is not good for us. I think. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we have another question.
Yes, Lance Woodruff again. I'm asking not as a media person, but as a practicing Christian. I've come to this meeting. I am a lay Franciscan, a follower of Jesus who looks at the practice of St. Francis. Most of the time I do not wear a cross because I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed by much missionary activity. My question, though, is really focusing on chaplaincies in prisons. We're in a Buddhist country, and I would just like to ask Kun Sutari, are there Buddhist chaplains, are there Buddhist prison visitors in the jails and prisons in Thailand? I've seen lots and lots. I understand there are 41,000 Protestant denominations, according to a recent study, but I don't know. I see many kinds in Thailand, but I don't know about Buddhist prison visitors. Just to focus that a little more, the Buddhist idea of karma, Christians, as pointed out by Monsignor Ike, that most people think that if you go to prison, you deserve it. Christians believe that, Protestants, Catholics believe that, most people in most countries ordinarily say if somebody goes to prison, oh yeah, they deserve it. In Thailand, the idea of karma, I mean, do we care differently about people in prison?
Sir, thanks for the question. Regarding the idea of karma, I would also say that most people would also say that yes, this person has committed something wrong to another person, so this is the way the karma works. They deserve to be sentenced and punished, and additionally, it's not only sentenced and punished, but it should be suffering at the same time, like what they did to the other. So, in that sense, I think the Buddhist interpretation has made it worse in this case. Regarding the prison, like administrative system, so far as I have learned, they also allow religious teacher to visit the prison and conduct like religious activity with them, both like Buddhist, Christian, and also imam for Muslim prisoner as well. But in some of the prison, for example, in Bangkok, some Muslim prisoner would also report that they do not have enough food, that they require special made food, halal food, but in prison there is no this kind of food provided, so they have to make it by themselves. This is another I think religious requirement that has not been met yet by the prison authority.
Any other comments?
One very fast comment concerning our concept of mercy and our concept of justice, because the question addresses humanity's sense of compassion, humanity's sense of justice, and where our religiosity fits into both. If we run a wrong interpretation of our religious foundations, Christianity, Islam, Buddhist, and so on, Judaism, one will discover that we may make the mistake of limiting God to our senses of understanding the greater, the divine, omnipotent, unlimited, powerful, and most merciful being that is transcendent. Anthropomorphism, that is limiting God to the knowledge of human levels, anthropomorphism reduces the deity to the human level. And this is where the problems start. Interpretation, whether of the scriptures, of other scriptures, or of other traditions. And recent studies have shown, especially the leadership of the modern popes, that God's mercy is unlimited, and that human beings are created to represent and look upon this mercy of God. That is where the Franciscan tradition, for example, comes in, and many other traditions that are useful to teach us that serving those in prisons is like working for your own salvation. You're not doing something for them. It is actually your own self that you are liberating. When people think, you know, I'm doing it for them, the lack of understanding is that you are seeing them not as you. And this brings me to a sentence I must make again. I said it in the hall. I think it bears repetition at this stage. This entire thing about the bonding of humanity. It is philosophical, it is spirituality, it is antiquity. This is what describes human dignity. The denigration or promotion of the humanity of any person translates to the denigration or promotion of the entirety of humanity. I am free if others are free. And if others are in jail, then my humanity is limited because I am indirectly in jail. That is why this universal appeal, we have to confront the inhumanity in prisons in a universal sense. To stand for individual rights and all the other rights, it is in essence our call. I just want to conclude by thanking the presenter of that question, who had asked where we come in as people of faith in the world of prisons, when our faith beliefs look at the world of prisons and incarcerated people as really the punishment they deserve. This is where we need radical transformation, radical reinterpretation, radical hermeneutics of the scriptural texts we read. And if in Islam, God is seen as merciful, and Islam is peace, and in Buddhism, we hear the levels of Buddha, the great ancient, who taught about enlightenment, about living beyond worry, beyond anger, beyond even sexuality, beyond and so on, you know, and coming to virtue and charity. Or we see in Christ, in Christendom, the belief in love as the epitome of what we must be. Love is the principle, not even the law. We who are Christians or who are faith people, we are challenged. In the world of today is no more a world of only faith people. There are also those who say they don't believe in anything. But even simple rationality, simple thinking, sound reason and common sense makes it imperative for people to think of mercy as the way and not hatred and not vengeance. I am free when I am free internally and I forgive. This is also perhaps the message which Kyaw can live with us as we celebrate these days here.
I want to thank the panelists for their participation and the audience for its questions. Thank you.